everybody. So we are going through Matthew. We're rolling right along. We're in chapter 7. We're kicking off chapter 7. Some of these have been going pretty smooth. Others have been taking a little bit more time. But I'm really excited on the next couple sections because we're going to do one of my favorite misquoted verses of the day, which is verse 1. Judge not that you be not judged. Judge not lest you be judged. Who the heck is Lester? So anyways, the standard you used will be used on you. So if we read on, it goes, for with the judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother's eye, but do not notice the log that is in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is the log in your own eye? You hypocrite. First take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Do not give dogs what is holy, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn to attack you. So this section here, judge not, the standard you use will be used against you. This is pretty easy for murder. How about stealing? Do you think it's wrong when people steal from you? Then it's okay to judge people for that. What about pedophiles? Should we judge people for that? Yep. Am I going to protect my kids? Yep. Am I going to judge that situation? Yep. Does society judge that situation? Yep. Does God? Yep. This standard is pretty easy in a lot of cases. It's not so easy when it comes down to gossip or lies, fibs, little white lies. Oftentimes, some people would rather have a white lie handed to them than the truth, and other people would find that pretty offensive. The standard you use will be used on you. And so, yes, there is an element of grace here, but it's ridiculous to say that the Bible does not talk about judging other people or situations. It doesn't mean condemning. It doesn't mean sentencing. It doesn't mean, in a lot of ways, there are some things about this that we have to be careful about how we talk about judging. But Paul talks about this a lot as well, later in the New Testament, about judging situations in the church, applying church discipline, keeping the bride of Christ holy, and being iron that sharpens iron. Being people that are accountable and helping each other get better. There's, in fact, a huge part of this that I think applies to discipleship programs in church. That oftentimes we are our own harshest critics. There are issues that every man today wants to get better at, whether it's not watching porn, whether it's turning around, not feeling like a mat that people walk on, a welcome mat, these ideas of men being leaders. Maybe men feel like they're too submissive in their lives. Maybe there's all kinds of things happening right now that we could disciple each other on, and that takes an admitting and a judging of the situation that you're in. In fact, my favorite thing is on social media or someplace where there's somebody trying to be a coach or some kind of teacher, and they just say, you're great how you are. Don't compare yourself to others. Why wouldn't you? How are you going to get better? One guy even said, don't compare yourself to who you were yesterday. What sense does that make? You're never going to get better that way. Sanctification is literally getting better the day. So this idea of taking the log out of your own eye, should we be working on ourselves first? Absolutely. But does this mean don't judge? No, that's ridiculous. It leads to this goofy attitude, and it leaves everybody stuck where they're at. So take the log out of your own eye before you take the speck out of your neighbor's. This is an overstatement. Obviously, it's meant to provide examples to chew on, right? You take care of your own sin. You see the speck clearly without pronouncing guilt. This is about the right posture. It's about being being in a posture of humility and extending grace to other people, for sure. But this is not a one-size-fits-all, don't judge anybody for anything and everything is permissible So there's another thing in the New Testament in Paul's letters where he talks about how a lot of the problem is antinomianism. I think that's how I say it. It means basically against the laws, or without laws, something like that. And the whole point is that people thought that if you believed in Jesus, you didn't have to follow the law anymore. This is incorrect, and it was a huge heresy in the church, and it was something that was rooted out with church discipline, which means people were called out for this in the church and excommunicated even if it was bad enough. So this idea is not the most fun part of being a Christian, but the other thing that I would say about judgment and looking at it biblically is that sometimes God uses the church to discipline his people. You don't spank the neighbor's kids, you spank your own kids. You don't discipline the neighbor's kids, you discipline your own kids. God doesn't discipline the neighbor's kids. He doesn't discipline Satan's kids. He disciplines God's kids. So when we decide to step into that family, we're stepping into a set of judgments and assumptions and ways of living life, and we should be open to that correction. So, the next section, ask and it will be given. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened. For which one of you, if his son asks him for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, will give him a serpent? If you then who are evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask him? Now I think that we have to put this into perspective, because a lot of prosperity gospel people use this to push a certain way of looking at this, as if God is a magic genie and we just keep asking him for the same stuff and eventually he hears this, right? And I've known people who get sucked into this and they keep praying for wealth and a bigger house and all these different things. And it's not bad to want things like a big house for a big family. God blesses us with a family, and it is our responsibility to take care of that family. So having the means to do that obviously is not a bad thing. Where this takes a turn is that this idea that you can just petition God over and over again, and persistence is what's going to pay off. You know, if you focus on the right things, if you draw yourself into alignment with God's plan, I feel like you will be blessed, but it might not necessarily be the blessing that you expect. It might not be millions and millions of dollars a year in income. Okay, does that mean it's not working? So everyone who asks receives. If you, broken as you are, give good things to your children, how much more will God give to you? So some thoughts about this is, it's true. When we talk about prayer, when we talk about the Lord's Prayer, it's about posture, and it's about praying is about putting yourself in line with God's ordered way for your life, being a part of God's plan, his sovereign plan. And if you seek that first, then you will naturally be asking for different things than if you're seeking worldly wealth and other things. So I think that's important to point out first. Asking God for things is prayer, and we've already discussed prayer like that. It's just an intimate relationship. It's communication between you and God. But I think this is telling ourselves to orient ourselves towards eternal things here. There are all kinds of reasons God may not give you what you're asking for or what you want. You might be asking for $5 million. God might not think you're ready for it. It's tough. It really just kind of rubs me the wrong way when people use this verse as like a magic lamp. I think that's missing the point. Solomon sought wisdom. So here's an example. When he was asked what he wanted, Solomon said got And because he sought wisdom, not just any wisdom, but wisdom from God, of God's law, of God's order, then he got wisdom, but he also got wealth. He also got respect and power and all these other things because he had the wisdom to deal with that. So, this idea about getting what you want sits in a section that outlines all of these things. So let's go through leading up to this part. It sits in a section that outlines prayer and fasting, which is about spiritual practices and posture before God. Priorities, eternal things, not worldly things. Orient yourself to God. Allaying concerns, and tells us not to be anxious. Faith in God as a provider, right, for our material needs. Judging, log in your eye. Posture towards other people. Ask and it will be given is right there. Then after this, it talks about give these gifts to others. the golden rule, how treat others the way you want to be treated. A tree and its fruit, about how us bearing good spiritual fruit here. Building your house on the rock, building a solid foundation. And then it talks about the authority of Jesus at the end to hammer it home. So this idea of this sitting right here, I don't think that it's saying that if you ask for material possessions, you're going to get them. I think Jesus is saying, put God first. Want the things that God wants for your life. And everything you ask for will be given to you. I don't think that excludes monetary wealth and the ability to do ministries with money and the ability to make money and start churches and plant churches. I don't believe it excludes that. But what I'm saying is, if you get your priorities right, those other things will come, right? You can also get those things the earthly way. There is that. I've seen completely ungodly people make insane amounts of money. That's possible. Which life do you want? So anyways, those are my thoughts on ask and it will be given and judging others. So we will jump into the golden rule, tree and its fruit, and a couple other sections next. But thanks for hanging out. Like and subscribe to catch all these coming out next. Put in the comments below what you thought about this section. This is a very controversial couple verses, I feel like, that people misuse and abuse and just give people the wrong impression about Christianity. So let me know what you think about that. Like and subscribe, like I said, to catch all the videos, and I'll catch you in the next one. All right, peace.